Excellent. So next we have Porter Gale coming up, and she is going to talk to you about how to motivate your network to help your cause. So please join me in welcoming Porter Gale.
All right. Hello, everybody. How about that video that Ito just played? Was that incredible with the kids? It really makes us think about what's important and the future, right? I'm here to talk to you about networking. Now, sometimes people think networking is kind of a negative topic. They'll think it's like schmoozing, right? Anybody here think networking is boring? Thumbs down. Raise your hands if you think it's boring. One? All right. Well, I've been in business for about 25 years. My background is advertising and marketing, and most recently I was the CMO at Virgin America, an airline in the United States. And I had this moment where I was sitting at my office one day and I was thinking, things have gotten really good. Like, I was really happy, you know, those moments where you just feel like overwhelmed with gratitude, right? Lots of shaking heads, I love that. And I thought, what is going on? Why is my life so good? And I realized that it was because of my relationships. It was because of my network, that amazing things were happening to me because I had let so many people in. So that's what I'm here to talk to you about. I wrote a book about it because I was so moved by it, and I love technology and everything. So I wrote a book, and I'm trying to go around and share some of the things that I've learned over the last 25 years so that you can do it in maybe 2 days when you read the book. Okay, so is your network your net worth? What I'm trying to bring to light with this is that a lot of times people are thinking only about finances, right? They're thinking about, am I going to have enough money for retirement? Am I going to make enough money to pay my rent? And my belief is that if you focus on your network and your relationships, happiness, prosperity, wealth, success, everything comes out of relationships. So I want you to start thinking about, I say traveling with your headphones off, and I used to say that to my team at the airline. I'd say, get out there, talk to people, travel with your headphone off. That is a mindset. It's a choice on, do I want to connect with people? Do I want to be open? And what's amazing is that serendipitous conversations can happen anywhere you go. So for example, here, I was on a plane. I was talking to this gentleman. His name is Jim. And I did take a video, and he was like, you're so strange. Why are you videotaping me on the plane? And I said, well, you know, I'm doing this thing. I like to talk to people on planes and see who I can meet. And he told me he was from the Midwest. He is the son of a single dad. His dad worked at Home Depot, which is a retailer for home goods. He decided he wanted to have a better life for himself, and so he really charted out a course. What he did was he joined the Navy so that he could have his education paid for, went to the Navy. Today he's in law school, but we sat on the plane for about an hour chatting about his excursions on submarines. He had been underwater for 76 days. He told me in detail about the sound a whale makes when it's under the water. I mean, these are those amazing conversations that you just cannot expect. So what I want you to think about is, we obviously invest our money, but are you taking the time to nurture your relationships? Are you really looking at those important relationships in your life? Here's Emily and Rob. Some of you may know them because they're in the Summit Series group, and a lot of you guys are in that. But Emily was passionate about food. She was in college, and she was very, very passionate. She knew she wanted to be in food, but she wasn't sure what she wanted to do. So she started calling people, and the first thing she did, she thought, well, maybe I'll be a food writer. So she called a magazine. It was called Cooking Light was the magazine, and the name of the writer was actually Kathy Kitchens. I said that's a joke, right? It's Kathy Kitchens at Cooking Light. So she meets with her. She ends up getting a job writing. She realizes she's not the best writer, but she keeps meeting people, and then she discovers that she actually likes kind of the process of selling food. She and her husband, Rob, went on and started a food company called Foodsy, which is a subscription box food company, and successfully exited that this last year. What's interesting, though, is that they kept meeting people and really talking about their passions. They had a tea party where they were bringing in people for a tea tasting. One of the tea tasters at the party, his name's Kevin Rose, became their main funder. So these networks and how they build, if you're building them on shared passions and values, you're going to have stronger connections. So how do you do it? Shared passions and values. This is very important because this is what I really believe is the foundation of really authentic, connected networking. So instead of going out and trying to meet everybody, even here at this event, don't try to meet everybody. Try to connect with people. I've worked with many, many brands over my career, and the ones that have succinct missions and defined core attributes are the ones that are the most successful. So with both your businesses and your personal life, I have this little exercise. It's very simple. It's called the funnel test. If you have clarity of mission and vision, you're more likely to be able to connect with people. You're going to know how to build your online and your offline brand. You're going to be able to communicate your story. So 3 steps. Here's a woman, Shira Lazar. She's an entrepreneur. She has a show called What's Trending. I said, Shira, tell me the funnel test. What are your passions? She said, people, storytelling, and technology. Now, there is a rule of thumb that great things come in 3, right? So think about what are the 3 things either your company stands for or you're passionate about. She wants to be creative. Step 2 is to have a tone of voice. What do I want to convey to the world? How do I want people to see me? Hypothetically, Lady Gaga could be bold. Shira, she wants to be creative, and her purpose is to create positive change and connect the world with broadcasting and media. So what happens when you have this clarity of purpose? You have a roadmap. You know who you want to connect with. You know what you're trying to achieve. So the funnel test, again, it's something that can be evolving over the course of your life. I've been a filmmaker, I've been a writer, I've been at ad agencies, I've been a client. This is going to evolve, but it causes you to do some thinking, to really make choices and to make decisions. The next thing about networking that is really the secret sauce is about giving back, helping others. So even when you came to this event, obviously the space that you're in and the thinking around food, you're already in a giving mindset. You're trying to challenge yourself to change the hunger issue. But helping and thinking about the we instead of just the me. In the past, networking was very transaction-based, and now it's very transitional-based. So it's really about who you're becoming as a person and how can I help other people? What value can I bring to others? Technology, the next thing I want you to think about is that the world has drastically changed over the last 5 or 6 years. Everything has accelerated because of technology. There is a phrase in the United States called 6 Degrees of Kevin Bacon. It's a game that people play. It actually started as a play and then it was a movie. Have any of you heard of that? Yes. You have? One of you? One up at the top, Christine, of course, because you're from the United States. Well, it basically is an actor, and the theory was that everybody was 6 degrees away from that actor, and you could chart the connections. Well, now, because of social media and because of everything that's going on with technology, we're down to 4 degrees of separation. What's even more interesting, though, is if you have common interests, the degrees get smaller. So it could be 3 degrees, 2 degrees. So if you're a kite surfer, you're going to be connected around the globe with other kite surfers, probably 3 degrees apart, right? So everybody that's interested in food, I would imagine 3 or 2 degrees apart. This is amazing because ideas can spread quickly. The other thing that's changed with technology is that our circle of empathy has become much larger. So in the past, we would have probably 10 to 15 core relationships. Now we have about 150 that we're nurturing at any time. So your ideas, both online and off, can move and accelerate through networks so much faster than they could in the past. You can create change at a more rapid rate than anyone could in the past. Just giving you an example of how technology has changed how we communicate. I've interviewed hundreds and hundreds of people in my book, but just giving you one example. This is Vivian. She actually is a military mom, and her husband, Mike, he's right there on the stick. Mike has been in the Army for 10 years, and out of the 10 years, he's been deployed for 6 of them. And so I said, well, how are you keeping the connection alive? How are you communicating? And here he's on like a popsicle stick. There's a game that kindergarten-age students do in the United States called Flat Stanley, where you travel around with, did you do Flat Stanley, Ito? You travel around with Flat Stanley, you basically take Flat Stanley photos everywhere you go. So Vivian decided to put Mike on a Flat Stanley stick. Her 2 boys then bring their dad everywhere on the stick, take photos with their phone, send it instantly to him when he's away. 97% of people have a cell phone within 3 feet of them at all times. Mobile has changed everything. It's given you a megaphone, it gives you a camera, it gives you a way to document. She said that that has helped them thrive and survive. So think about that, how communication is changing and how you're building your network. The next thing I just want to talk about, Ito mentioned it a little bit about the importance of a team. In networking, there's a quote by Robert Redford that I love, that problems become opportunities when the right team comes together. This is incredibly important because there is a lot of research that in the past, innovation was usually singly minded. So the car, the light bulb, it goes on. But now, innovation is really coming out of collaboration. Amazing things are happening. And if you look all across industries, many of the great things that you see, even down to like Instagram, it's collaborating. So think about your team. Are the people around you sharing your mission and your vision? One story about the rise of collaboration, and this is just one specific example, and you can translate it to food, but Amit Gupta is a gentleman that unfortunately was diagnosed with leukemia. He's of South Asian descent. He realized after looking through the research that his chance of finding a bone marrow match was 1 out of 20,000 people. So, there was a lot of fear and anxiety that started. What happened was that his friends started a campaign through social media trying to encourage people to do swab kits to sign up for the bone marrow transplants. And within 3 months, they had about 40 million hits around the globe on social media. They were localizing with events, and they found 2 matches. 2 matches, they found a needle in the haystack, right? So technology can help you find your needle in the haystack. Steve Jobs said in his famous Stanford speech that you cannot connect the dots until you look back. I believe that statement is 150% true. When I look at my life and the things that I've accomplished, time and time and time again, I look back and I realize it's because of the relationships that I've had. Somebody's introduced me to someone, they've told me about a job. So remember this and know that now is the time to start building your network. A couple of last thoughts for you. One question that I always encourage people to ask is, are you a producer or are you a consumer? Now, obviously, in the economy, we need both. But in the mindset of connecting, my belief is that if you're a producer and you're bringing value and ideas to the table, that's where you're going to make stronger connections. So every day, I encourage you to think about, what am I bringing to the world? Is it content? Is it an idea? Is it a product? Is it a service? What value creation are you bringing to the world? Because that's where amazing connections are going to happen. Learning to make successful asks. The last part of this is about really tapping your network. But what happens if you have strong relationships and you've been nurturing them over time? When you go to make an ask, what's going to happen? More collaboration. It's going to be easier to do. It's going to feel like, okay, this person understands me. So think about it. My belief, again, is all about quality instead of quantity. So you need to really think about, what am I trying to achieve? One story, there's these 2 gentlemen. They actually have a TV show now, but Dr. Ridge with a striped shirt on, he used to work for a hospital called Mount Sinai in New York. He was tasked with raising $10 million for a new part of the building that was being built. It was for the aging, and so he decided he was going to think about who was the best person that he could attach to the project that would give him $10 million. So he thought about it, he started creating more value to the project. He got an architect attached to it. I was attached to the job. And he set his goal on getting Martha Stewart. You guys know Martha Stewart? She's kind of homemaker in the US. He wanted Martha Stewart to be the person that funded the project. That was it. So he set its sights on it. Now, at the time, she actually was in jail for insider trading, but he said, I'm not going to let that stop me, and he put a big package together, and he sent the package to Martha, and then he saw an article that said that Martha was getting thousands and thousands of care packages, so he got a bigger package, and he sent it in again, and he kept trying. What it's important to know is that miracles do not happen overnight. So if you're getting a no, or you're not hearing back from someone, if you really believe in what you're doing, you got to keep going. You got to go for it. Lo and behold, he heard from Martha's daughter, and when she was out of jail, what happened? Martha's daughter said, Martha wants to meet with you. He went up to talk to her. He had the whole business plan. He knew what value it would bring to her. He closed the deal and got $10 million. So in that, I want you to think about the importance of storytelling, about how important your content is, your talk listen ratio. And lastly, in closing, I want you to think about your head, your heart, or your wallet. What really drives you? What brings you passion? What's going to be the thing that you're remembering at the end of the day? I've interviewed tons and tons and tons of people about this topic. I've gotten everything from, it's a trifecta. You want to dance on it when you have it all balanced. But think about it for you. What do you need to be passionate and to drive your businesses forward? So I'm available on Twitter if I didn't get a chance to answer your questions at Porter Gale, but it's an honor to be here. I will not be getting drunk with you tonight with Ido, but I hope to see you guys in the buffet line. So thanks for having me.